People trickle in.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and start rolling. Ooh, your sound quality is very good today. I'm a little soft. Maybe I need to... I'll get loud. There, see, I just did it right there.
Lucky it's high quality today.
Yeah, so... I'm still a little bit sick. That's why the episode is late and will possibly be short. I don't know. My chest's still a little tight, but luckily I don't think I have too much to talk about today myself, because we recorded last week's What's Up also a little bit late, so there was less time for stuff to happen.
Yeah.
And Lucky will just talk about one of the things he's accomplished if I get short of breath or something.
Yeah. Well, to get right into it, anything you want to talk off, like, right off the bat?
Well, yeah, kind of. I just was going to mention... I'll also probably do that a little bit, cough off mic a little.
Oh, wait, Omega, I'm going to cut you off. Before then, why don't you thank all our Patreons?
Okay, so actually that was the thing. I was going to say that I wanted to do a little bit of experimenting, and I wanted to kind of enforce the cold open and also maybe look for some royalty-free music to do. One of those things we're going to skip, but now we've done the cold open thing, because I want to see the analytics about, like, if we do, like, intros and talk a little bit and then do Patreon stuff to see if that, like, helps people stick in with us a little bit longer, or if they still, like, the people who are going to check out. But I've been sick, so we're probably not going to do a lot of that science right now. Anyway.
Science.
Since you brought it up, let's go ahead and remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Go Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Sodasan 0424, and VideoGamer75. And that if you like what we do, you should consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early, and it would really help us out. Thank you for your support, as always, everybody.
Thank you. The only reason I remembered is literally I went for my drink and was like, oh, this ain't open yet. Oh, that means we haven't done the intro yet.
I was just about to say, so the reason why you wanted to do that is because you wanted to open your drink.
Yeah.
But other than that note, I don't really have anything, like, other than that stuff we can all talk about, because, like, I still need to be alive and awake to power through Fire Emblem. I've been trying to, like, figure out some TV to watch, but nothing's really been super sticking with me very hard. But we'll talk more about some other TV stuff later. But I'm talking, like, Netflix binging TV. Yeah, stuff. Things.
Yeah, stuff. Well, on my end, in a moment that I would like to call rage completion, finally was able to beat Subnautica. Now, this was a bit of achievement for me because while I'm not like Omega, and where I would have a particularly crippling phobia of the deep water, but I do not like getting fucking ganked by giant monsters. That just kind of, scares me. But through the new native streaming service that Discord now runs, it's something that they're actually still working on. They just announced that they have support for Windows 7 now. So anyone who's still running that, can give it a try. As I said, it was playing Subnautica was a lot easier to get through when you have a bunch of people chattering in your head and watching what you're doing.
Even if sometimes we give bad advice.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, so, like, I say rage, well, actually, I guess that the moment is to get straight into it, because usually when people get really upset at a game, the term is usually rage quit, throw your headphones on the ground, stomp off, go indulge in a vice or two, get through everything. In Subnautica, I had the opposite effect, mostly because of where I was in the game. So, unfortunately, if you're not part of our Discord, or maybe some of our more active members, you might not know, but I basically streamed the entirety of Subnautica through Discord.
A couple of times over. You restarted a couple of times.
Oh, yeah. And it was only within the last week that I got near the end. So I basically went from, I think like this week I started from like the Lost River, made my way into the inactive magma zone, found the broken disease containment area, found the power plant, made my way down to the active magma zone, did a secret handshake with the, what was it? Sea Dragon Emperor? Sea Dragon King?
Dragon just Leviathan. Sea Emperor. The Sea Dragon is a different one. They're two different seas. They're not the same sea.
No, I mean the secret handshake about the one that, would like, even though it was like super big and bulky and could uppercut my Cyclops, I really didn't fuck with me much.
Yeah, that was just the Sea Dragon.
Yeah, Sea Dragon. As I said, so I didn't have to worry too much about that guy. He did, like, huck a couple fucking flaming loogies at me, but...
Well, who knows? Those might have been different. I think there's 2 or 3 of those guys.
Yeah. But the, it was a far cry from the fucking juvenile ghost leviathans who almost destroyed my Cyclops at one point because he would not fucking leave me alone. I was like, God damn, calm down, son. But finally got down to the primary research facility all the way at the bottom, like at 1,400 meters. You know, got in, got my exploration on, did a bunch of scanning, saw a bunch of cool rooms, finally met the person who'd been giving me telepathic collect calls. And upon, you know, getting into her pool and about, you know, poking around, I basically swung myself into a glitch. I guess that's the best way to put it. Basically, I like using my grappling. I was running around in my prawn suit, and my standard loadout for it is 1 grappling hook, 1 drill arm. And I like to, like, honestly, I don't know what it is. I have a deep love of grappling hooks and getting to swing around. It's just fun. It's just good plain fun. And I was using that to traverse the bottom of the pool, and somehow I was going to investigate a pillar because it had some green stuff on it. I was curious. And I swung myself a little too low and just basically stuck my prawn suit in the ledge. It was vibrating madly. It was kind of hilarious to see.
You clipped into a ledge or a corner or something where, you know, a couple of textures come together.
Yeah, it was weird. Well, as I didn't really panic at that moment because, you know, bugs happen, glitches happen. So this is why we have a suite of command console console commands to, you know, get us unstuck. Unfortunately,
there are a lot, actually.
There are a lot. But I decided to use the one that I had used previously before because at one point, after I had hatched 6 or 7 stalker daughters, a couple of them had got stuck in my base. And Subnautica has this lovely console command called entire reset, which basically just reloads all assets. And
right, it's you've got some weird glitchy things where things are overlapping, fuck everything, reload all the assets. Hopefully it'll figure out that, like, oh, these things should not be together.
Yeah. And that's what I went with. Unfortunately, in reloading all the assets, it actually made it so that not all assets were reloaded. And my character... Well, it wasn't exactly that I fell into the Zol. I actually walked into the bad zone or whatever myself because I had no idea what was going on.
Well, yeah, but basically when it unsplinched your prawn suit, which was stuck half in a texture and half out of it, you basically wiggled it into the phantom zone.
Yep.
Where you were outside the map, which was bad.
And this was bad, not because necessarily I couldn't move, but I couldn't get out because there are 2 distinct atmospheres. There's basically in-water atmosphere and out-of-water atmosphere. And all the land outside the walls was on-land atmosphere, which means I couldn't use my prawn suit to jump or grappling hook, or I couldn't swim away. I was literally stuck on the ground. And it was to the point where I couldn't actually get back into the water area so I can try finishing things. And we actually, at this point, the entire chat got in on looking into console commands and seeing if I can get unstuck.
And this is where we learned that there are a lot of commands for getting unstuck, which maybe we should have checked before this. I think there's literally one to, like, randomly teleport yourself several feet in a direction.
Oh, yeah. There's warping, there's teleporting, there's, you can, like, warp to find... Yeah, it was a lot. But, like, after, like, I honestly just want to say, like, an hour of struggling, like, we just had to call it quits, and I was just like, well, fuck.
Yeah, so you entered the kill yourself command.
Yep.
And then you had to build a whole new prawn suit, and it was like, okay, it's fine. We'll just go down there, we'll do the thing, and then, oh wait. Well, because here's the funnier thing. We didn't think about this until this happened, but you were in the middle of a scripted event. Like, it wasn't just that the Sea Emperor pops up onto that top shelf and says hi. she then does a whole thing where she like swims around the tank, talks to you a little bit, and then sits down when you're, ready to do some shit.
Yeah.
And explains to you. So she was stuck T-posing. And you reloaded the assets like another time. It didn't work out. So basically you were borked in one of the final quest components.
Yeah.
Which also, by the way, I think there are a couple of little like flaws to Subnautica, even though it's finished.
Mm-hmm.
First off is like the like singular save slot. Like you can't, like you could not save before trying to unfuck your prawn suit without making it so that your prawn suit was fucked in the first place. Yeah. Which is the other thing, is you had last saved like an hour worth of exploring and scanning, so it was like, oh, we don't really want to go back. That'd be boring.
In hindsight, we should have just gone back.
Just sucked it up. That's like obviously if I don't want to take any responsibility from you, but the whole audience was also not like enthused about going back, so we were kind of egging you on to just mess with the code, unfuck yourself, and you double fucked yourself. But there's also no console command to play the scripted events in the containment facility.
Yeah, we actually looked at this. Looked at this.
Like there's flags for you discovering you're like fully infected. That's in the containment facility, the quarantine. There's multiple flags for the Sunbeam rescue and for the Aurora exploding. There's no commands to play any of the Sea Emperor stuff. The only final trigger is that you can make it so you can build and launch the escape rocket without having to actually turn off the gun or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it was basically like, okay, we can't do the thing. Everybody got sad. You turned the game off for the night.
Yep.
And so the next night we were talking about other stuff, and you were talking to me, and you were like, heck, I don't know what I do. Like, do people want to see me like start over from the beginning and power through? And I'm like, I don't know. You'd have to ask people. I mean, I'm personally of like two minds. On the one hand, I want to see the end, but also I want us to do stuff on the channel. So like, if you don't want to jump right back into the suspense, that's fine too. But it's really that kind of thing where it has to be how you feel, right? Like in some cases, you talked about the rage quit. When something bad comes up, you're just done with this game for a while. You're like, I don't want to deal with it. There's so much stuff. There are a lot of games where I felt like that, or felt like that related to, with people. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes when something goes wrong, you feel like energized, which clearly you did, and then you want to like jump right back in, and then a while later you were like, "Fuck it, I'm doing it. I'm jumping in."
Yep. Now this is a part where we actually had like a side irritation with this because again I was natively streaming through Discord, which
Discord Live was not good that night.
It was not good that night. People couldn't see shit. The only time people could see stuff is when I basically stood stock still for several seconds.
Yeah, it would buffer and catch up for a little bit. And it got better when you turned down the native frame rate and stuff too that you were trying to stream.
But the end result is... I should
point out, this is also really weird. It shows you where Discord's put all their technology. The audio stream was perfectly fine the entire time. It was just the video part that was weird.
Well, to be fair, Discord has basically been audio only for like how many years now? They probably got their audio on point. Now that they're branching into video, they're like, what do we do? How do we do? Why do we do? Philosophical Discord. But, so basically what I did, I started a new game. And I basically took off what's the word I want to use? I guess I decided to go high speed, low drag. Basically, immediately just opened up console commands. I'm all like, all right, cool. Let me get all the blueprints, all the modules. I'm going to spawn me in a Cyclops and a prawn suit. Give me all the exosuit attachments, all that. Good.
You turned on the special quick build, so like building is instant and you don't need materials.
Nope.
Because you were just powering through everything.
Yep. I remember... I first landed on the escape pod. I went out, I stood on the top. I basically, because you can trigger events. And so I triggered the, Aurora countdown. We got to actually watch the explosion. I was all like, yay. Oh, I should probably fix that. I typed in the command to fix it. I was like, all right, the Aurora is now fixed. Sweet. I triggered the Sunbeam arrival with the quarantine platform. I took my Cyclops over there. We watched that get blown up. We're like, all right, cool. At that point, I then triggered the infection progression state. So you can see your hands get covered in sores, and you're like, no!
And also so you didn't have to go back to the quarantine platform, or quarantine lab.
Excuse me.
Though, this does remind me, we did also discover that apparently unlock all doors doesn't actually mean to unlock all doors.
Yeah, no, like all the quarantine platforms were, still had their laser doors, their force field doors, and I was just like, whatever. Just run back to my
even though I think
Cyclops,
it's the description of that console command says that it fixes that, it just apparently unlocks code doors. Because there are doors in the Aurora that you need passcodes for.
Yeah. Well, as I said, it was only a minor hiccup. Did not let it stop me. At that point, I got on my Cyclops, swam around looking for a Lost River entrance, which there are several of, which I discovered. I think I found the one... Oh, I found the Blood Kelp Forest, and then I found another entrance. Because there's like 2 Blood Kelp Forests, each has their own entrance, and then the Bulb Forest has an entrance, and I think there was one more that had an entrance. I can't remember what it was.
Well, yeah, because there's some of them lead directly to it, but others have because there's an entrance in the Jelly Shroom Cave beyond one of the, or the Bulb Zone beyond one of the Degassi bases, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Grand Reef. That's what it was. Grand Reef.
Yeah, the Grand Reef.
That's what it was. Yeah, so it's 2 Blood Kelp, 1 Bulb Forest, and 1 Grand Reef. I found the one.
Sadly, because here's the thing about Subnautica, it's very convenient at the end. You get to unlock all of these master, teleporter gate keys in the primary research facility with unlimited ion crystals.
Yep.
Which give you all these little shortcuts to all the different biomes on the surface. Only, those are only one way, so. Despite having turned them all on in the first playthrough, when you started a new one, it's like, well, you can't just hack your way down there and turn them on. Like, you had to physically walk down there through all that stuff.
Yeah. Like, ideally, like, the way the game should play is because, as I basically, I'll keep going. I went basically all the way back down, took my sub, like, I didn't even color it or really name it, I was just like, we're going. Went down, got back, finally triggered it, and, everything actually worked this time. And so, big alien mama wanted, me to hatch her eggs. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna do that. And you get the recipe. Well, I had it already because I unlocked all the blueprints, but you get the recipe for the hatching enzymes. And I'm looking at it like, this is that part where these gates were supposed to come in handy, where, I go out, find these materials, and come back. But, as I said, I had already, console command my way through most of this. I'm just like, fuck it. Like, if it had been my original playthrough, I think, maybe only 2, I would have only had, 2 things that I hadn't found myself already. It was, I think the fungal sample and the bulb forest sample.
Yeah, basically, I think how it would have worked is it would have taken you 2 nights anyway, because it would have been one night was, okay, let's finish this off and hatch these, and then the next night would have been, all right, let's fucking leave.
Yeah.
Because there would have been some stuff in the follow-up, the building the Neptune rocket.
Yeah, and it was nothing that I don't think I would have had difficulty finding. It just been the effort of gathering it up.
No, because there were 2 ionic power cells in there, so.
Well, yeah, well, that means
it would have been a little bit of work to just compile everything, because that's a couple of steps.
Well, no, it's just 2 ion batteries and silicon rubber, and I think ion batteries was ion cubes and a diamond?
Yeah, it's something like that, but it's still you need 3 steps to get there, because first you have to build the batteries, then you have to build the power cell, and then you would have had to go to the platform and carrying all this shit, mind, and assemble everything.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there was a fabricator on the launch platform.
No. No, but
because we could still hear her, everybody in the audience was very impressed by how spiritual the Sea Emperor was.
Oh, yeah.
She was a very deep lady.
Mm-hmm. I miss her already. We only had a one-night stand, but she'll forever be in my heart. Yeah, so basically, I logic that, it wouldn't have taken me that long. I would not have to have had too difficult a problem making the hatching enzyme, so I just fucking auto-made them. Hatched them. I saw the babies. I was like, they are cute. Sea Emperor Mama is fucking tired. All right. I got cured. Literally, like, there's just this glob of enzyme 42 floating. I put my hands in it, and it attacked me. And attacked me with healing. I got cured. The area got cured. Warpers will no longer fucking try to gank me. Thank God. Like,
which honestly, had you been playing normally, would have been a real reward, because while you were gathering all those resources, the Warpers would have not fucking bothered you.
Yeah, no, which is the big thing, because it's not so much the fact that it's not that the Warpers attack me that bothers me. It's that the fucking Warpers warp me potentially out of whatever craft I'm using and whatever environment I'm using. At what point I had the reinforced dive suit, which was super fucking handy, especially in the lava zones, because it gave me some protection against extreme environments. But if I remember correctly, Zero Punctuation, Yahtzee, when he played, he actually had an incident where a fucking warper warped him out of his prawn suit, and he fucking like almost instantly burned to death because he couldn't get it back in time.
Yeah, because there was like you had this thought that like while you were doing the power facility before you had to reset the save, because that's in the quote unquote active or maybe it's in the inactive. I don't know. I've heard some people call that region the lava castle. It's inside a lava dome over a lake of lava. So there's a couple different entrances, but there's a warper patrolling around the top of it.
Yeah.
Which, if, for instance, you got pulled out and your prawn suit missed the roof, it would plummet to a pit of lava, which I think would still hurt it, we discovered, if you actually stepped in lava. And that's quite a ways down, and prawn suits are not very agile.
No.
So, yeah, there were some risks. That said, you had to, because you physically walked in there through a lava tube. Your freaking Cyclops wasn't going to fit.
No. Well, the first time I went in without my prawn suit. I literally left it on the edge. I was like, no, stay. It was because I needed the drill arm to drill some ion cubes was the only reason I decided to swing in. I was like, I need those. And I had to plan it out. Like, I actually like aimed for the roof first. Confirmed my entrance, and then made it. Almost bit it on the way out, though. Wait, no, I did die on the way out. Because I ran out of... I don't think I actually...
That was when you ran out of food. Or was it water? It was one of the things. Okay.
So, sorry about that hiccup. But I don't think in all my playing, which at my biggest save says over like, it was almost 2 days of actual playing, like real hour days. I don't think I actually ever died to combat. I died to either forgetting to breathe or forgetting to eat and drink. And that's what happened in the lava castle, the power facility, is I forgot to... it was probably water, because water goes down.
Water goes by faster, and yeah, you didn't have... Well, you had some in the Cyclops, but it was a desperate struggle to see if you could get out. And you couldn't.
I couldn't. But...
That's actually pretty funny, because I wanted to relate a story when you were talking about the reinforced dive suit earlier. Mm-hmm. I've only ever really watched Markiplier play this game. Like, I've watched a little bit of Jacksepticeye, but I never got far enough into any of his runs to actually see him get some of the more advanced stuff. And interestingly enough, Mark always used the still suit for this exact purpose, which gives you recycled water. So he always had water, but he also had to do basically the entire last chunk of the game in his prawn suit and stuff, because he didn't have the reinforced dive suit. So, the moment you get outside, it's like, oh, you're burning to death. So I just thought it's kind of funny, because you definitely did stuff in your own way because you did the reinforced dive suit, and having seen you do that, I'm like, dude, reinforced dive suit's the way to go. But also, there was the ultimate, like, karmic irony that was like, oh, if you'd had the still suit, you wouldn't have died, bitch.
It's one of those things, I just need to be more meticulous in my preparations. I gotta stop going out without food and water.
Yeah, and also, I gotta be honest, I've seen YouTubers die, not just Mark, but just, like, general clips. YouTubers die way stupider reasons. Like you had some build up to realize that, oh shit, I don't have any water. Like, you realized it was a problem and just didn't have enough time to deal with it because you were, in a little on your own excursion. But you were still fairly close to spare water. It was just in your Cyclops. It's just the way the game was designed. There's a little bit of a travel there.
Yeah.
I've seen people completely ignore the PDA's constant warnings about oxygen and drown in 10 meters of water. People get shot by tiger lilies, which is another thing that the the reinforced dive suit would protect you from, and be like, what's eating me? What's happened to me? Oh, this clearly moving thing in the foreground is doing something to me. You know.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think you're pretty good. It's just sometimes, usually when you're in your base, you would be like spaced out doing stuff, and it would be like, Lucky, I think you need to eat. You're dying, and you're like, oh shit, I am dying.
Run to the greenhouse. But yeah, so everything got story wise, everything got hatched. Everything was free. I was like, cool, let's get the fuck out of here. Looking at the launch platform, I actually think it was really a pretty awesome thing. Omega had this fucking same thought I did. I really wish they wouldn't just play the fucking stinger of music and just let it keep playing the entire
Yeah, there was
time.
a pretty cool music, but it was a sting for each one. But also, it was very hilarious because, at least for the very first build, it was like, here's a dramatic sting of music. And it was like, well, I think you were like building the elevator or something. And it's like, I can't see shit. What happened? Like, later builds, actually, we got to see a little bit of it building, but I was just like, you were like, man, if you're just gonna complain, I can just stop. I'm like, no, I'm just saying that it's very ironic that it plays this huge dramatic sting of music, and I'm like, I can't see shit. It's just, I don't know, you're staring at a console right now.
Yeah,
but it ultimately worked out, and we did get to see a little bit of it. So everything got built. There's 3 stages.
Let's see. It was the platform, the elevator, base. I think so
there's boosters. There's the cockpit. Is there might be a middle ring.
There was a middle ring. It was like the power cell or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And again, this is like, I kind of feel like I would have made a bigger ceremony out of it if this had been my normal playthrough, because apparently the rocket ship actually had like lockers for storage and stuff like that, and you might have even been able to build stuff in there. I've been like, oh, that'd be
there's a big, long, dramatic sequence where you have to turn on all the subsystems.
Yeah, you have to prep a time capsule. Again, if I had fucking had played this normal way, I probably would have actually, wrote something deep and philosophical, and gave the people some good shit, probably with like some ion batteries or whatever. But
I still maintain silicone and lube.
Yeah, but
and also, unfortunately, because this was a brand new save, you didn't have any of your cool screenshots.
Yeah, no, I didn't. So I just literally just snapped one, looking over. I see a lot of people take pictures of their base. And I was like, I would have loved to do that if I had a fucking base.
There were also a couple, you took a good shot of an eclipse and of a Reaper skeleton and stuff.
Oh yeah, I took one of a sunset over the quarantine platform. But no, I didn't have any of that because glitches. So I basically just threw in I just took a random screenshot, threw in all my tools, and I just said, see ya, Space Cowboy. Be careful of console commands. They'll fuck you over. Launch that shit. I think my favorite part of the experience, though, was, when you're going through, dark matter space or however their FTL travel works. The Sea Emperor messages you one last time, telling how you return to the stars, she returns to the sands, but wherever our journeys go, we'll go together. And I'm all like, oh, hella philosophical.
Yeah. They are different, but they go together. Yeah, she's great.
She's great. I fucking love her. And then the fucking bitch of this is, welcome back to Altera Space. You're clear to dock as soon as you pay your debt of 1 trillion credits. You're just like,
yeah. So people were like, oh, he'll be fine. I already knew what the post credit dialogue was, so I'm like, yeah, he'll be fine, all right. Nope, 1 trillion space bucks.
Again, corporate greed at its fucking maximum. I don't know. I was entirely chance can I just go back to the planet and turn on the gun again?
Reactivate my space gun.
So
maybe I can take my Doomsday device out of storage.
Yeah, let me just go back. Let me just grab I don't know 20 people. We'll go back because I was thinking about that. The only reason I really wanted to leave that planet is because there was no one else there.
Right. And unless you've done all the stuff with turning off the things and curing the infection and stuff, there would have been no reason for people to come back either.
Yeah. So, but no, it's all let me just go back and grab 20 people. This planet is now mine. And if you don't agree, well, say hello to my giant fucking space gun.
That is something I think the sequel does better, because I've seen some of the early access stuff, is well, first of all, there's supposed to be other people, but they mysteriously vanish because, plot. But there's a space station in orbit now, and so you talk to another character who is The player character of the first Subnautica is male. I think they
Yeah.
said that canonically his name's Riley, and as far as we're concerned, Space Janitor.
Space Janitor!
But the player character in the sequel is female, and she talks to her sister in orbit all the time about stuff.
Okay.
So, like, you don't just get snarky PDA dialogue. Like, you actually talk to people, and she will, like, send you tools or give you beacons to find things when you're trying to figure stuff out. And that's as far as I know. But there's a little bit more active plot drive in the sequel, because obviously it's... While they do kind of do the whole, you gotta survive, you're back to zero thing, it's still obviously not as urgent as, oh shit, your spaceship crashed.
Your spaceship crashed and you're now infected with a deadly disease.
Yeah, so this is more like, spoilers for the first 5 minutes of Below Zero. This is more like a freak storm has crashed your shitty prefab base. Build another new shitty prefab base. Solve alien artifacts. Sorry, I slapped my mic stand with my pop filter because it's off-center.
Yeah, and, like, honestly, like, I'm pretty... Like, I kind of want to get Below Zero, like, right now. The only thing is, it's in early access.
Yeah,
like
it's not done, so you'd hit a cap of as far as you can go anyway.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, like, how I want to do, if I would want to keep, like, restarting. Because I did that with base Subnautica. Like, I think I've, like, restarted it, like, maybe no less than 10 times. This was just only the first time I actually made it to the end. Mm-hmm. Like, before I started streaming it on Discord, the farthest I ever made it was I just got to the Lost River. And I got spooked because fucking Ghost Leviathan Juvenile is headbutting me and screaming, stop that.
Yeah, even though I love the Lost River, it's the coolest zone.
It is the coolest zone. I definitely want to say it has some of the most iconic things. Like, we discovered the Cove Tree, which is just this giant glowing tree, has a bunch of ghost rays around it, and apparently has Ghost Leviathan eggs just in its branches. And you're just like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, it was so amazing because I remember I saw it before, but I couldn't actually remember what it was. Where it is. I was like, did I just make that up? Did I dream it?
Yeah, no. You were like, did I hallucinate this? And like, no, it's real. The Brine River effect is really cool. I had to show some people in the Discord some images that, yes, that does actually happen. You can get brine or methane solutions that form underwater lakes and rivers, and it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of the fossils, which are super interesting because they're so huge, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Like the really big skeleton, you could park your Cyclops in its mouth. And heck, a Ghost Leviathan Juvenile did park itself in its mouth once, which was very hilarious.
It was very hilarious because I wanted to get out and it always made me mad because every time I wanted to get out and scan the that skull, the Juvenile will always get up in my grill, and I was just like, sir.
Yeah, stop. They're very ornery down there.
They're very.
Which was very interesting, considering you had a much more positive response with the sea dragon, where one of them just like nuzzled your Cyclops and fucked off, and you were like, are you okay? Just like, he's good.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I'm still debating on what new game to play with.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing more of Below Zero. Like I said, I've watched some of Markiplier do it, but he's been pretty slow about checking it out.
Yeah.
And also, he's a huge, big baby face. He cries about everything. Which I'm pretty sure most of that's the character, but it does get a little frustrating sometimes where he's just like, what are those? What's that? I'm just like, dude, it's nothing. Relax. I know, I also hate the ocean, but, like, it's not a giant, it's not like a Reaper where you're like, this is obviously very bad.
I think on, like, my end, like, if I got nudged, like, suddenly, randomly,
well, it's like, you'd be like, what's that? No, but at least how he comes across in the Let's Plays, I don't know if he's actually that. He's like paranoid, afraid about the ocean, where he's like, what's this weird shape in the distance? Is it moving? And I'm like, it's a rock, dude. I can see it's a rock, and I'm watching on YouTube. Whereas you, I don't think ever had that problem. It was usually like, you're watching on the sonar as a Reaper or a Ghost Leviathan appears out of nowhere and, slaps you on the ass and you're like, God damn it. Fire everything. Or, sadly, we didn't hear you, but we all knew what your reaction was when you got, when a warper teleported behind you while you were trying to find some PDAs or something at one of the Degassi bases, and it was just like, you just ran inside.
Yep.
Like, that's spooky. That's like a surprise.
Yeah. So
But
I don't
just
know.
like, vague shadows, whatever.
If I saw something movie, I think I would just silently observe it for a moment and
Yeah,
then
that's
move
like
on.
we stop what we're doing and we look and it's like, is this gonna be a problem? Is it gonna be a thing?
No. All right, carry on.
Oh, though, speaking of streaming spooky stuff, obviously not right now because I'm sick, but I did get my headset from Amazon, which will work for my PS4, which hopefully means I would not sound like I'm in a tin can, and be a little bit more reliable than my old shitty earbud thing that they do. So hopefully I can stream some Soma this month. Like I said, not right away, because I don't think I got the stamina for that right now, still being a little sick, but hopefully the setup works.
Cool.
That also means I got my 128 gigs of SD card from a Switch, so now I can like buy some DLCs and stuff.
DLCs.
Maybe I'll. Well, no, I really need to. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I really need to actually play Borderlands 3 finally for me. But somewhere in my taking my break from Fire Emblem, I will also hopefully get the DLC and do some extra stuff in Breath of the Wild because I left a few things unfinished, like literally 4 shrines short. In case you forgot. Which really ticked me off when I looked up the total number of shrines after I beat the game and I'm like, son of a bitch. Literally 4 short.
Speaking about PS4, did you know they have actually a share play system?
I feel like I've heard of that, but I don't remember the details.
Alright, so basically what it is basically you can set up a party with someone, and then you can share your screen with them, and even give control over your game, whatever you're playing, over to that person. And they don't actually have to own the game to do it. The only downside of it is you can only do it for an hour at a time.
Yeah, I'm sure they want to be careful about that stuff. Maybe they'll fix it. I think I've heard. Well, first off, PlayStation now has like reappeared front and center with like new ad graphics in my PS4 homepage, but I think they're getting a little bit more competitively priced because of stuff. So
I don't know. Sony's been making some big moves here recently.
Money moves, yes.
Yeah.
Are we all done talking about Subnautica? Do we want to talk about basically Funimation?
I could talk about Code Vein, but if you wanna switch tracks to Funimation for a bit,
we can break it up a little. I'm sure you have a lot to talk about on Code Vein that I don't yet either, because I'm like, I can't buy this game right now. I don't have the 40 hours or whatever.
So
Funimation. So this also will technically, I suppose, be our talking about the Azur Lane anime section, because that's kind of when this first came up, because we were talking about it for a while. We were kind of excited because we have a lot of questions about Azur Lane, which the anime does in fact answer, which is kind of funny. I think I said this joke earlier this week. I was like, in 5 minutes of exposition, this anime answered more about the mechanics of this world than the game ever has in me playing it for a year. And who knows, maybe it happened at other points, but I wasn't paying attention. But it was very streamlined in the anime.
Mm-hmm.
But so we're anticipating the anime. It's going to come out. And then it's like, where's it coming out? Like, no announcement has been made until right up on the day when it drops, and it's like, oh, Funimation. On Funimation now. And I'm like, So we already had this discussion last week because of Babylonia, which I will heads up everybody, I've been sick. I haven't watched Babylonia yet. I just, I've been busy. I have to read and stuff. But, and I don't know if we want to, like, give our top-level thoughts on Azur Lane right away, but the episode was pretty good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I did.
A decent action animation, good sound design, showcases a lot of the characters.
A lot of nods to the game.
Mm-hmm. A lot of very obvious nods, but they're fun at least. But this kind of got us into the discussion of like, man, how much is Funimation doing? And it turns out that it seems like this core this season is their big push.
Well, right? I don't want to say like necessarily this core, because I actually I downloaded the Funimation Now app, because you can download it on PlayStation Network for free. They have their quote unquote free version. Now I was looking at some of their titles, and no, they were actually on past core. Like in the last core, it looks like no, they picked up quite a few new and fresh titles.
But were they? I don't remember them being necessarily exclusive though, because I don't remember hearing a lot of people talking about it until this season. Maybe it's just because we're in circles we're in.
Well, like. This is circles in. They definitely had some. They had some dubs, like some dubs going.
Because they're
obviously, but
licensing and dubbing company.
Like here's the thing that I discovered what bugs me most about the Funimation platform right now. As someone who their fuck, what's the word I want to use? whose their overview says, we're all about, getting you the dubs the quickest and the fastest. Why all of a sudden are you like snatching up all these subs?
Yeah, that I think is Papa Sony's influence, where it's like, not only do we need to license these exclusive for dubs, but also we understand anime nerds, so
so
they're basically doing the opposite of Netflix. Netflix will sit on a show until it's all out, and then until it is dubbed, and then they will dump it all out on there, like months after it came out in Japan. And some people are okay with that. And honestly, some series that worked. Like I didn't rush to go fly the colors and get Kakegurui season 2. I was okay waiting. And that worked out. That's fine. I don't really watch the dub of that, though I've heard it's pretty good. But I mean, highly silent. It's good stuff. It's a really good sub, so but still, that's Netflix's model. Funimation/Sony's model seems to be, we're gonna buy up the rights to all of it. We're gonna simulcast the sub. They can't simuldub everything a season because that's way too fast turnaround time. I've actually heard them talk about that before.
Yeah.
So like they can't do that on a lot of products because it's just too fast.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna stick to simuldubs on some select products like My Hero, which is coming back next week, I think.
I think so.
I believe that is the date. So, but they're still, locking in the rights so that you still have to go to them for the subs and also then later the dubs. And it's kind of like, yeah, it's a thing.
It's a thing. Like I did go through it, and so it does look like they have like plenty of quote unquote unique stuff, and they do offer usually for the unique stuff both the subbed option and the dub option. So I'm all like, okay, I'm not against this.
Yeah, I haven't pulled any triggers because obviously I've been sick. Not time for decisions like that. But I made sure my Funimation account was up to date, and I think for their lowest level of premium, it's $5.99 a month, which is pretty cheap.
Something like that.
And they have free trials, so I was kind of thinking I might try a free trial and like experiment with the service before figuring out. But obviously, I haven't done anything yet because I've been a little under the weather.
Yeah, because like as I said, like I'm not like. It's like the same thing with kind of like the Epic Games Store. It's like I'm never necessarily against additional competition and whatnot, especially with things like this. It's just I prefer to have as much things in one location as fucking possible.
Well, yeah, it's all about convenience.
Yeah.
Like this is a thing for my personal life. If people have money to spend it all, if your platform is convenient and easy to access, people really do prefer to do it legit as opposed to like piracy and stuff because it's piracy can be a pain in the ass,
Oh, yeah.
Do you have all the right video players? Do you have the right codecs? Do you have the right software to download them?
Do you have the right ad block, virus protection?
In back in the day, a lot of this stuff was a lot shadier. It was like, are you sure you're like all your your virus software database is up to date? Because somebody's gonna send you a Trojan or some dolphin porn or something. Now, usually, thanks to word of mouth, those kinds of things don't work because people don't. Like, one person downloads it and goes like, this is 200 megabytes of, pictures of some guy's feet or something. This is not the legit torrent. Let's get rid of it.
Get the hints.
Still, torrenting can be, or other, God help you if you purely stream. Like, pirate streaming is having done that for a lot when I had no money. And honestly, when I was watching shows that where only fan subs exist, like before Crunchyroll got big enough to be legit. Like, if you could watch shit as it aired in Japan, but it was all fan subs and stuff. Mm-hmm. There was no legit outlet yet. It was just dubs, months later, in English, which I'm not averse to. I watched plenty of dubs as a kid, but also when you're watching long ass shonen like Bleach and Naruto, and you're like, I know there's like 30 more episodes of story, and I'm really hooked now. I want to catch up. You would watch fan subs 10 minutes at a time on YouTube. The truly Wild West years. But those sites are really shitty and shifty. Like, your quality is often crap. You have to deal with a million ads. Like, it's a pain in the ass. So, if you can just hand somebody $5 and go, okay, give me my animes, that's convenient. That's easier. The only thing I'm trepidatious about and why I want to like do a free trial first to actually see what their platform is like, because like you said, they do have some exclusives. I've heard the My Hero dub is really good. It's only available on Funimation like streaming, or I have to buy some Blu-rays, which I want to do someday anyway, but Blu-rays are expensive. So I'd love to see what it's like for myself, but I'm not sure I want to just immediately hand them money right away, right now, because as we've talked about in Let's Talk FGO, that is basically voting with your wallet. That's me telling Sony it's okay for them to continue this particular cycle because they will make money off of it, or keep my money. And I'm like, is it a service I will genuinely like, or am I just paying the extortion fee, basically, right?
Yep.
Like, and nobody wants to feel like you're being extorted. Nobody wants to feel like Funimation and Sony are holding the cricket bat and being like, you buys the animator, you gets the cricket bat. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So that's a thing I'm thinking about right now. And hey, talking about convenience, full disclosure, my witch doctor does have the stuff, but like we said, I do actually not mind Funimation as a company and doing some things. So like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't necessarily want to encourage this particular nature of like we said, where Sony appears to have pivoted their business design to, we're going to buy up all the rights and we will simulcast subs until the dub is ready kind of thing. I'm like, But I'm also not against them as a company, obviously. We've just been talking about, PlayStation and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I already give Sony a lot of money every year for PS Plus, and I'm not unhappy with that service.
Yeah. No, I mean, we literally got The Last of Us Remastered free this month. It's all like,
that's I think it's like $20 on Amazon, but that's still $20 I saved this month alone.
Mm-hmm.
Which is much proportionally higher to, I think, the per month cost of PS Plus. So
I think it's like $79.99 a year? Or is it $49.99 a year?
It's
one of those two.
I think it's like 60.
PlayStation Plus cost.
I am coming up towards the end of the year, so I do need to be
$59.99. So basically
$60 a year.
So basically a video game a year, and you get, I want to say about like 24 free games.
Yes, you usually get 2 a month. And there are some games that are not monthly that are always free on PlayStation. There are also PS Plus exclusive sales and stuff. So it's in addition to getting all your multiplayer and stuff, it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. I do want to say, though, right off the bat, looking at the Funimation, they have their genres, and one of their genres is literally fan service. I was like, keck. It's like, your market.
They know what they're doing. And also, honestly, if they have a streaming platform, which is, as far as I know, is paid, at least on the web, I think all their latest shit is paid only. It used to not be. I realized I have a Funimation account because they used to stream sub and dub of FMA Brotherhood when that was actually coming out. Like back when that was launching again, that was available on Funimation, I think for free and like a week delay, and I watched it there. But like I don't know for sure about the ins and outs. I have to do a little bit more research. But
here's
I tried, for instance, to watch the first episode of Azur Lane on their website, and it was like, this is premium only. I'm like, okay, that's fair. That's what I expected. I was just double checking. But they seem to have a pretty, like, it's pretty basic, but it gives you all the stuff for $5.99. It's like, okay, ad-free streams, and you can do up to 2 simultaneous streams, and, get all the app access and that. So I'm like, that seems fine.
Oh yeah, actually, it looks like you can have 2 simultaneous streams. So means that I think it means 2 people can watch at the same fucking time, so you can share.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what they mean. Premium Plus gives you up to 5. Premium. Well, actually, I think. Let me see here. I think their premium service is actually way more robust than Crunchyroll's premium service. Let me see what they got going on here. I'm curious.
All right, Lucky's gonna compare features.
I'm gonna compare features.
I can wax a little bit on the Azur Lane anime while he's doing that. The first episode, like we said, was good. Got a decent pacing, got a really good exposition. It actually, for once, clarifies what the fuck the factions are about.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's very explicitly said that Azur Lane, that is they only name drop the core 4, so it's like, Union and Eagle Union and Royal Navy are, want to defend humanity not using Siren technology, and the Crimson Axis, that is the Sakura Empire and the Iron Blood, want to use Siren technology, which vaguely fits story events I have seen in Azur Lane. So I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Iron Bloods aren't a show in the premiere, but they're alluded to in the OP. I think Prince is the head. Though also, I was reminded of an interesting fun fact. Assuming this is true, do you know why Z23 is not featured primarily in the show?
If I remember correctly, because she wasn't actually a starter in Japan.
Yeah, in Japan they switched it up, so Ayanami is one of your starter choices, and Z23 is the one you unlock later.
Oh, it makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Because even with, even Sans that, Ironblood didn't have a lot of starting ships.
No, they didn't. Which I think was the point in, China and even the US version where it's like, ooh, you can get a little starter. Here's kind of a preview of this faction. But you're right, you don't have a lot of support, because there's only, I think, when you very, very start out, there's 1 destroyer and the 3 light cruisers. You had no backline at all.
Yeah, no, it was... Oh, you also had, yeah, you had Prince, the 3 cruisers, yeah, 1 destroyer. You unlock Leipzig, and I think you unlock, Admiral Hipper as well. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember if Hipper was just a permanent add later, or what.
Admiral... One Fat Panda, you're in the call. Do you remember?
But also, yes, those are all frontline ships. So, you can build a couple frontline fleets of Ironblood, but no backline. RIP.
Let's see here. Oh no, she I looked it up. She's a limited construction and has a drop during Divergent Chessboard.
Okay.
Really?
Well, I'm glad I got her.
Yeah, same. I thought she was a permanent, maybe not.
No. Well, maybe she'll be permanent later because they'll add Divergent Chessboard permanently.
Oh yeah.
Because that's actually a system they have now implemented is our version can go back to old events which are added permanently, kind of like Girls Frontline. You only have so many plays a day, but you can play the map and you can still get event drops, even though there's no store. So you can earn Zuikaku just through drops by challenging the RNG, and they're going to add more to that and kind of improve that stuff. And it sounds like they're going to add in ships from those old events permanently to the construction pool. So you can get Flutie and Sortie.
Flutie and Sortie!
Sortie, who is actually in the end of the Ep 1 of Azur Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Though it was mostly Akagi and Kaga's thighs.
Yes, it was.
Though everybody is like giant wolf aircraft carrier boss when.
Again, there's definitely doing...
That is one thing I will say. This episode doesn't explain it all. The fucking planes. It's literally magic. Okay, the boat thing, that's already magic, right?
Yeah, I do like how they actually... Apparently, all the ships are actual ships, but the girls literally turn them into fucking wisdom cubes and equip them.
Yeah. They fucking Mega Man EXE ship soul themselves to grow the parts.
The rigging.
Otherwise, they are normal-sized girls. Apparently, to cross the water, you skate.
Yeah. Well, that's what it looked like they were doing in the game as well, so it was all like, yeah.
Yeah, kind of, but it's very obvious that, that's the motion they're invoking is skating.
Mm-hmm.
They're not self-propelled, I guess. And you get to see a variety of things, different ships do different things. Ayanami appears and she, uses her torpedo rack. Prince of Wales only goes in the action at the end, so you don't really see any... We don't see any battleship slugfests yet. They did mention that, Hood and some of the other, big ones would be showing up later, so hopefully we'll get some longer range stuff at some point. I also thought that was kind of interesting that, I know Prince of Wales is permanent now, but I thought it was kind of interesting that she was one of the premier Royal Navy ships who showed up. Unicorn made sense. Unicorn's popular and adorable.
And adorbs.
And also, Illustrious is in this, complete with frontal armor. And I'm like, obviously. Mm-hmm. I mean, Formidable is still tearing up the fan art. So that makes sense. I wonder, the anime probably won't get it, especially because Formidable is new. The anime probably won't get to show all 3 sisters. Maybe if they get a season 2.
Alright. But, speaking about weird transformations, apparently unicorns, Yu-chan can grow giant, and, unicorn can ride it. Yes, unicorn. Apparently carriers can fly. Because, unicorn's Yu-chan grows to actually being a fucking unicorn, and she flies on it. But also, Enterprise just surfs on one of her own planes. Like a mouse. Shoots, bow planes. Aeroplanes, I guess. Aeroplanes. But also, she shoots regular arrows which explode, i.e. her, AA fire. That I will say that is something that bothered me a little, was
like the starters were very clearly firing their like main guns to blow up Siren airplanes, and I'm like, girls, don't you have flak for this? But Javelin was also shooting out of her javelin, which is the thing. Though it's another thing. They actually use their melee weapons, like Ayanami and Javelin fight in melee, and I'm like, this is neat. I love this. They do actually fight with swords. Great.
All right, okay, I finally found the fucking playing comparisons.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so straight off the bat, at their basic levels, Funimation is $2 cheaper. Basically, whereas Funimation starts at $5.99, Crunchyroll starts at $7. They both offer simulcast. Basically, as soon as they can get it, Crunchyroll, they have an exact moment of 1 hour after the Japanese broadcast. Crunchyroll also, I forgot about this, actually has access to a manga library with a simultaneous publication, basically reading the latest manga chapters as soon as they're published in Japan, with, no ads, all that stuff. Where they start differing, and so basically at the basic level, actually I think they're fairly well matched, because they both get to let you watch ad-free things immediately, but Crunchyroll has a manga library on top of that, which I think is worth an additional $2
Yeah, that's fair.
$2. Crunchyroll doesn't make any particular reference to how many you can watch simultaneously, while Funimation does. At the premium, you can basically watch 2 simultaneous streams, which basically means that if you give out your code to your password or account to whoever, or do a link, you can have basically 2 different people watching at the same time. At the premium, $7.99, Premium Plus, excuse me, that can go up to 5. Now, here's actually where I am actually finding things a little interesting. So, Crunchyroll's Premium Plus membership is $11.95 a month plus taxes, and from what I'm looking at, kind of bare, I want to say. Basically, you get to stream on you basically get discount you get like discounts on the regular premium membership, but you get additional benefits. You get VIP convention perks like special goodie bags, exclusive events, and front-of-line privileges for Crunchyroll events, entry into exclusive conferences, exclusive Premium Plus virtual badge, and early access to beta test features. I don't know if that's particularly worth an additional like $4 a month. When you switch over to Funimation and at their like Premium Plus levels, let's see here, you can also download for offline viewing on supported mobile devices.
Yeah, that's always a good feature.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Crunchyroll supports that. And as I said, where Crunchyroll does a $4 jump, Funimation only does a $2 a month. Otherwise, it's kind of the same thing. Early access to special Funimation shop sales, exclusive member-only events, free shipping on Funimation shop orders over $20, membership only offers. So I'm gonna have to say Funimation actually edges out in their Premium Plus, and then fucking Funimation actually has one more category, which is Premium Plus Ultra, which is $99 a year.
Right.
Now,
which would that's still, I think. Let me actually do the math on that. 99.
Well, like
divided by
the Premium Plus, they actually have the option for this is $79.99 per year. So this is basically $20 more.
Which honestly, that's only like, $9.99 or $100 divided by 12 is 8.33. So it's only 8 1/3. It's just you have to buy it as a lump sum yearly.
Yeah, and basically the only 2 things they add differently is an annual anniversary gift, which means they might actually just literally send you like a physical thing.
Yeah, it sounds like it. They send you an actual like membership tchotchke.
And 2 free rentals per year. I'm not sure what that means exactly.
I believe that because on their website you can like queue stuff up. I believe that means that you can actually do digital rental on like any title and be like, like maybe they're not streaming it, maybe it's something else, but you can like grab it, rent it, and have it digital without needing to pay for it.
Yeah, but yeah, the only other thing that I know about like the physical products in Crunchyroll is I think they give you a discount on the anime loot crate. thing, I think, which some people are into. Loot boxes have become fairly prolific in the past few years. Yeah, so honestly, like looking at it, like both of them have their pros and cons, but honestly, for getting bang for your buck, Funimation seems to be on the up and up. It's like a little bit cheaper and a little bit more. I think the main thing is that Crunchyroll has over is I'm not sure for this. I haven't tallied up their full titles, but I think Crunchyroll has a bigger library at this point.
Yeah, probably because they've been doing this a little bit longer.
And they have a selection of manga to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Which is a fair trade.
Yeah. So
on the other hand, if Funimation has the titles you want, even if they're shared, because I noticed browsing they were like advertising some titles I know were also on Crunchyroll. Like they have like Mami Sakai and stuff like that. I think they got Fire Force on Funimation because they're probably doing a dub for it. But if they have the exclusive you want, they definitely seem like they're a more economical option. Like I said, this was I'm like, oh, I really don't want to encourage Sony to be like, ooh, more exclusives. On the other hand, if I just pay for the membership, I'm set anyway.
Yeah. Like, honestly, I kind of wish, like, looking at this, I kind of wish they stayed together, but apparently Crunchyroll's business practices aren't to everyone's standards, because there have been people, like, I've read that have literally jumped from Crunchyroll to Funimation and been on, like, best decision I ever made.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I believe if I'm not wrong, Crunchyroll is a company that's ultimately owned some, like, they've been bought out by WB, but they were founded by a Japanese guy, and I think they were originally run, like, partially over in Japan, which makes sense for business dealings, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But Funimation is a homegrown, they're a Texan company. They have been a name in the business for a long time. You know, they've been and they have a decent amount of presence. And because they do dubs and stuff, I think they feel like they're a little bit more in pulse with the community. Like, because, like, that's the thing about Crunchyroll is, like, Crunchyroll, it's always a little bit weird to hear from them because it's, like, Crunchyroll social media people, and you're like, you feel like you're kind of shilling me a little here. Like, you know, your interactions with them feel a little staged or a little, like, hypey. On the other hand, if I see, like, somebody who's just a staff member or an actor at Funimation, like, be out there in the community, they're just part of the industry, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they probably are trying to get me to buy Funimation products, but also they're a part of the product, you know?
Yeah.
So it's got different feels.
Yeah, so either way, I would honestly, if you pay, like, the standard for both of them, which is, like, $5.99, $7.99, so what's that, like, $6, $8, that's $14 a month. You can get access to two, like, I would say they're both fairly competent. Crunchyroll, I said, Funimation's system seems a little blocky, and I definitely know that Crunchyroll has some issues with its interface. But $14 a month, you can get access to two anime streaming services and get most of what's out there. I was looking at it. There's still some titles that neither one of them have grabbed, which is a fucking shame.
Yeah, Netflix buys a few every year, I think, every quarter. And also Netflix funds some of those. Like, I'm pretty sure Ghost in the Shell will be exclusively on Netflix because I think they're working with Production ID, to do that.
I know Amazon Prime picks up a couple.
Yeah, Amazon tried to be the big exclusive anime thing, and it didn't work out for them. But they still pick up a couple streaming titles, just like they pick up a little bit of everything.
Yeah, no, actually, there's one on Amazon Prime that I need to recommend to you because you might dig it. But yeah, so if you have like an Amazon Prime membership, it's like it's no pain. So
which everyone should, because just how do you live?
And Netflix
literally on Friday I ordered a headset and an SD card. It is Sunday. It is a Sunday. They are here, and they didn't charge me any. Like, I got charged a little bit in tax, but there was no shipping cost or anything. God bless Prime. No man should have this power.
So. And like, if you're like in most family households, you have fucking Netflix. Yeah, most people do. I don't at the moment, which I should fix here pretty soon. But yeah. So, and the thing is, again, even with all that, there's still a few titles that but like Demon Girl Next Door, which I recently watched via The Powers of Witchcraft. I don't think it's on any legitimate streaming platforms, which is a goddamn shame because it is super funny and good, and I love it.
Yeah,
I need a season 2.
You binged a couple of things in like the gap before the new season started.
Yeah, well, that's usually my MO. Is like when I'm waiting for new things to come out, I'm like, all right, let me see about these things that I might have missed out. Because, like as I said, I do I do enjoy giving money to legitimate means, but it's like when you're not scratching my fucking inch, will go elsewhere.
Right. This is exactly what we said. This is the convenience thing.
Yeah.
And you
so,
just talked about how you don't have a Netflix right now. Because boy howdy, let me tell you, like I said, I have been trying to find something to watch on Netflix, and I can't quite settle into anything. But it's like they got a lot of shit. My list is full of stuff.
Yeah. So actually, that's one of those things I'm actually gonna be doing here recently. Is I'm gonna go check out all the releases and be like, all right, what do I want to watch? What have I not watched? And what's available on what thing? Again, this is why convenience, because I don't want to have to start going through multiple streaming services to say, all right, I can watch this here, I can watch this here. And
I know that unfortunately some streaming services want to go that route.
Yeah,
like,
so I'm just like,
Disney Plus might be a little bit of a pain in the butt.
It's like, I want to give you people money for the services you give me, but Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, but the problem is the overlap, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like, okay, so like Disney Plus, I think it's like $7.99. They're like $7 or $8. I'm like, okay, for Disney's entire back catalog and also, Marvel and Star Wars, that seems like a pretty good deal. Like, I could be down for that. But also, then on top of that, how do I watch regular ass TV? Or Disney doesn't do any anime, so then it's like, okay, but then I need my Crunchyroll or my Funimation or whatever. So it gets to be a little bit of a burden on the consumer, and obviously it's a little bit better than cable still, premium cable, which needs to sort of shit out. But yeah, it's a whole thing. That reminds me, I need to double check what YouTube was trying to pilot their YouTube TV thing. I need to see if they went anywhere with that, because we're plugged into the YouTubes.
Plugged in.
Speaking of which, I should check how our last video did. It felt like it grew a little slow, but it got up there. YouTube still isn't caught up to the actual watch numbers, so that usually means we've got decent growth. I also expect we'll get a bunch more views when they actually announce Shimosa.
Yeah, be fun.
No, we're still okay. Still not quite 1,000 views yet. That's about 200% over our overall average, but that gets fucked up because sometimes we post actual plays that like 20 people watch. Watch time is way up though.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know anything about money because that takes a couple days for YouTube process. So, right, other anime stuff. Did you want to talk about?
All right, so here's the anime that I need to recommend to you, man, because I watched it. It was one of those ones where I accidentally went to bed early, so I got up like super fucking early. Like, if Lucky passes, like, I don't know, if I go to bed after midnight, I'll like pass out until like maybe like late morning, like early afternoons. If I go to bed pre-midnight, I'll wake up like 2 to 3 a.m. no matter what, no matter how tired I am. It always happens.
I've had that happen to me. Not at that specific time, but definitely like there are times when my body's like, this is the time you wake up, and I'm like, what? Why you do
Why?
this?
So I got up, and bless her heart, Miss Fujoshi I remember that she had been rambling about Princess Principal, which was a show that I knew was on Amazon, but I never really paid it much mind because at the outset, the premise didn't catch me. So the outset is basically 5 like high school girls being spies. My knee-jerk reaction to this was, it's going to be one of those girls, where it's all, cutesy and fluffy, and these girls, act like being spies. Because, that's a thing, cute girls doing cute things, and I guess that cute thing was being spies. But she was ranting and raving about it, and I was all like, okay, well, let me pop in the first episode and let me see what it is. And let me rephrase it. It is indeed cute girls, but it is cute girls being fucking brutal. Like, when basically the setting of this is you're basically in England. Technology has caused a rift between the nobility and the common people, and basically a giant literal wall has divided the two. And both sides are basically invested in this cold espionage war against each other as they try to, sabotage and gather information on each other. Like in the first episode, like these girls like save an escaping scientist, like get him like set up in a safe house, do information, find out what he wants, and a little bit of a spoiler. Finds out that the defector was going to double cross them, literally drives him out into the middle of a fucking park and just shoots him. I said, this is a girl who's like 16, 17 years old. Just pulls out a fucking gun and just like puts like 3 in the fucking chest, then walks up and puts a couple more into him. I was just like, oh, okay then.
So you're like, oh, this is serious.
This is actual serious.
I thought you were gonna like shoot flowers at him or something.
No. I mean, yeah, but no.
Oh shit, he did.
He did. Then you find out that the girl had like the guy had like, well, you find out during the episode, the guy had a sister who was suffering from this sickness, and he was trying to get money to, get her operation. And you realize that the girl who had fucking like murked him had taken out a life insurance policy in his name and set it up so that his body would not be discovered for like a week, so that the fucking life insurance policy wouldn't just flop on it, and then gave the money to give the girl her fucking operation. And they're all like, we're spies. I was like, oh my God.
Man, that's good. I love a good espionage.
Yeah, like this is why I was like, oh my God, I actually need to recommend this to Omega, because they do their espionage like fairly seriously. Like there's a lot, like there's five girls, and each of them kind of have their specialty. Like there's your quote unquote man girl who just seems to be, the generic spy. She's good at, infiltration, combat. She has an interesting gadget called the Sea Ball, which is part of the technology that splits England in half to begin with. That basically lets her render her weight to 0, so she can float and fly and all that stuff. She uses it to great effect. Second girl, this was actually great. She's actually 20 years old. She's actually an adult, but she has to basically fake being a high school girl, and they keep bringing it up. And she's the driver. If anyone you see driving, it's her. She's the one pulling off all the driving. She's also, I guess, want to say the honeypot. If you need a distraction, she will, like, the first thing she does is she pulls down her corset so like half her cleavage is exposed and goes up. She has, as another character put, the woman's weapons, and she uses them to great effect. Third one is actually someone from Japan who is basically just the combat. She fights real good, but it's also interesting because, as I said, they use this ain't no like it's alternative history, but they still use actual nation names. So she's actually from Japan. She has reasons for being there, and she's not necessarily a double agent, but she's there because Japan wants to know which side to back. And for full spoiler reasons, I won't get into why, but she's basically there to observe like this group and see like where the fucking die is going to land, what horse they should back on. So there's a little bit of interesting there. Fourth is a fucking princess who is the goddamn face. She can speak 9 languages, has a bunch of she has a bunch of social clout. She doesn't have a lot of political clout because she's like the 4th prince. She's like 4th in line for the fucking throne. She's known as a princess of air. Like, she's a princess in nobility for intents and purposes, but she has no real power behind it. But, as I said, she still has social influence because she's a fucking princess. She doesn't have a lot of money, but she can still, throw some dollar bills around. She speaks 9 languages, a world-renowned pianist. And because, she's still a nobility in the area, she can get into most locations and whatnot. Fifth one is kind of surprising because the princess and her attendant, who's the 5th one I'm talking about, aren't exactly spies. They kind of got roped into this because story reasons, which I don't want to spoil because it's actually really, really interesting. But the 5th girl has the ability to basically change her voice to whoever and is a really, really crazy good mechanic. So she deals with a lot like fixing like the technologies and fixing technology and tinkering with things. That's really great. So they have like this actually like really solid team. And like I said, it's only 12 episodes, and they deal with like a bunch of stuff. Like, as I said, like they deal with defectors, gathering information, dealing with traitors, corporate espionage. Just trying to think, and just and they also do quite a few of introduce the character stories where you can find out more about them. It's like. Again, like I went in, didn't think much of it, and I was completely blown away. Like, Omega, if you want to, like, I really want you to put this on your to watch list.
Sure, I haven't booted up my Amazon. It is on Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah,
I haven't booted up in a while, but I can do that. I'm not doing a lot lately, Chief.
Yeah, it's like just Like, I don't even like just like give like you don't even need to give it like the 3 episode. Just give it like 1 episode, and you'll completely understand like the feel of this. Because I think the first episode is a definite hook. The next two are the setup to how things got this way. Mostly, they spread it out because this is what I've noticed. Even though the episodes, you can kind of tell like where things are in the story because they'll start with like episode 1, case like 7. And then like an episode will be like episode 2, like case 4. So they tell it in a non-linear fashion, but because they actually designate what case is, you won't actually get overly confused of where things are taking place in the story. I'm assuming there must be a manga of some sort because, like I said, sometimes there's some big case jumps, and maybe the anime just like, yeah, we can skip that. Let's keep the big beats here.
Yeah, I'm sure our audience will let us know about that.
Yeah,
you will, won't you, audience?
Hmm?
No, so we've gotten a little bit better responses on What's Up stuff lately with people.
Yeah.
Also, BT Dubs, I have now decided I'm going to do the thumbnail in the middle of this. You're getting a martini glass this week. Because while you were having that conversation, I was like, I know what the title of this episode is. It's going to be We're Anime Spies. With some kind of funny AKA, I don't know yet, but yeah. And this is, just to confirm, because I want to be like, did I hear this right? Sometimes I'm a little out of it because I'm still a little feverish. This was Princess Principal, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okie dokie. Is there a night vision goggles emoji?
The what?
I'm asking, is there a night vision goggles emoji? No, it's regular goggles.
How dare.
I'll figure out some night vision goggles clip art. I actually sometimes I just, because we don't necessarily talk about anything flashy, I don't put a lot of effort into the What's Up thumbs. Because honestly, it's weird. On the other hand, I appreciate the extra effort you bring to like Let's Talk FGO thumbnails, and like with the 3 images we get a little bit more of a variety. The logo pops a lot better now. There's still a little bit of room to like add some stuff. Like this week I added a comma to Let's Talk FGO because I put a Magatama in there and I rotated it so it was like a comma, and that's like a funny thing. Like we can still do a couple of gags when I finish it off and finalize it, but I appreciate the fact that you can turn those out like really quick and they're actually, clean and professional looking. But some people like the quote unquote lo-fi look. So it's interesting sometimes to see that kind of response from the audience.
Yeah, like when you did the classic thumb edition, people were all like, it's like, hey, it's back.
And I explicitly called it out.
Oh, hey, I found the Princess Principal opening. I'm going to put that in our Patreon chat. Because I think it does give a kind of a good feel to it. Because by the way, the music was done by fucking Yuki Kadra, who is actually the OST composer for a lot of Nasuverse stuff.
Interesting.
But
all right, well, we're at just under an hour and a half. Do you want to talk about Code Vein?
Oh yeah. So
go for it.
So I did beat Code Vein. It took me, my final end time was 43 hours, which for just one playthrough, your first playthrough is that's a good time. As I said, like only like most like action games, action oriented games usually don't run super long. It's usually only JRPGs or RPGs in general, that clock up those huge run times as you spend time grinding side quests and all that crazy stuff. So 43 hours on my first playthrough. I didn't necessarily do a lot of grinding, although I did do some backtracking to find vestiges, codes, and complete side quests, not to mention explore the depths. So as I said, I feel like I got my money's worth out of that. I did discover, though, there are multiple endings, and the path I was on took me to the true and best ending, which immediately kills me inside, because that means any other ending I get after that is just going to be horribly worse, and I'm going to feel like a shit human being because of the way you have to achieve them. But as I'm still enjoying the game, so I'll figure things out as I go. Now that I've actually beat the game, I actually give like a more comprehensive thoughts on it. And so we'll go through that. Gameplay-wise, the game is a bit difficult. I've heard there have been reviews complaining about how controls feel clunky and whatnot, and I'm just gonna I'm going to chalk that up to Dark Souls elitism. Personally, I could be wrong. I may be wrong. I don't know. If I'm wrong, let me know. But
And also, we should specify you played on PS4.
Yeah.
We have heard that like maybe the default PC controls are a little non-intuitive. You can change them, but obviously some people don't think about that.
Yeah. As I said, like a lot of people would compare it to, Soulsborne games, but I need to remind you that From Software has done 5 of these fucking games plus DLC. They have put a lot of effort into their system. Bandai Namco, I don't know exactly how God Eater systems work, but I've heard it's more akin to like Monster Hunter and whatnot. So their Soulsborne gameplay probably isn't refined. So as a first try, I'm more than willing to give it like, no, this works. I was able to beat the game. Nothing from particularly broken. If I had to complain, mostly I feel that the drain attacks weren't as intuitive to use as they could have been. Because in the game, your Blood Veil, which is basically your armor, gives you access to a drain attack of 4 different types. You get a Claw, Stinger, Hounds, and Ivy, each of which have their own unique little flares. I really don't need to get into it, I guess. But there's a variety of things you can do with it. Like you can do a charge attack, you can do your parry with it, you can do a launch attack, you can do a back attack with it, and you can also do a combo attack with them. I found out throughout most of the game, I used the back attack at most, only because it was what would happen automatically if you snuck up behind a enemy. Like in combat, mostly I would forget to use the combo attack. You can only use the launch attack when you're in the focus state, which I would not necessarily notice all the time because I am trying very hard not to die. Parrying is something of those things that definitely need practice. And with different veils, you would have different timings for them. And I wasn't necessarily all about that, especially because if you fail a parry, you're going to get hit. And I was not using the most defense-oriented build, so if I got hit, I would die in 1 or 2 hits. So I was like, nope, I'm just going to dodge. And the charge attack, again, it's one of those things that it takes a minute to wind up. There are abilities to shorten that time, but if there's one thing I've noticed in this game is standing still for any length of time in combat is a death sentence. Like, most of my deaths in this game were not from me, just eating a fucking attack. It was from me standing still to pop a gift, use an item, use a healing. It was just one of those things. It's all like I would stand still and the boss or enemy that was half a map away would all of a sudden be stabbing me in the chest with a giant sword. Happened more times than I really want to count. So, continuing on gameplay wise, so I would want to say that combat was pretty difficult, but ultimately rewarding. I definitely want to say that it is easier than Soulsborne's game, if only for the fact that you have a partner with you majority of the time. A fairly competent partner at that. There is the option just to do away with your partner and go with it alone, which does make the game incredibly more difficult because you do not have someone else to take aggro off of you. Therefore, you are the attention of the enemy 100% of the time. But from people in our own Discord have mentioned they have gotten fairly far through the game just by themselves. So it is doable if you crave that extra challenge. But for someone who maybe not be so get good level, the AI companion Breeze definitely brings a little bit of relief and stability, and something that you can count on in times of crisis.
Yeah, I've heard some people talking about there are certain boss fights without any context which are like duos, where they gang up on you, that happens like I think at least once in a Soulsborne type game. Mm-hmm. There's a duo type boss, and they're some of the hardest because you actually get ganged up on instead of the other way around. Yeah.
So, yeah, because actually, speaking of the duo boss, it's actually kind of interesting because usually your partner will literally completely just fight whatever the opposite you are fighting are. and so you just have to worry about 1v1ing a certain boss. But you'll still get ganked because the bosses can do like area effect attacks that will just randomly like explode underneath your feet, and you're just like, holy shit. But like all the boss battles I would say are pretty unique. They all have their attacks. All have their specific timings. There's one thing that definitely note is all these enemies definitely have like different timings and whatnot, and and their combos will slow down their attack. So if you jump dodge too soon, you'll still eat a face full of polearm. I'm just like, God damn it! And so they do add a little bit of variety into that. The final, no, not the final boss. One of the last bosses, actually like does a move where like their swords grow to like half the length of the arena you're in, and just do this big down chopping move. I stopped trying to just like dodge left or back, and I just started dodging like straight back, and it gives me this lovely effect where my character is literally standing between two swords on like either side of her. I'm just all like, that's terrifying. But again, it's all fun. Like, as I said, the gameplay and difficulty is definitely suited for someone who's just getting into it. And I do want to say that people who are probably more experienced Soulsborne players probably do not get as much enjoyment out of it as like someone like in my shoes would. Visually speaking, all the different maps are distinct in their own way. The thing they all have in common though is ruined city buildings, which makes fucking sense considering you're in a ruined city to begin with. I know some people have some complaints about that, but it matches the setting, people. You don't hang out in a destroyed city and all of a sudden you're at the fucking beach. It just doesn't happen that way.
No.
That
Unless
said,
you're at a beach city. But then you'd know.
But then you know. Within that plan, they definitely did an effort to differentiate the different biomes. Like I said, you start with basically like you're stuck inside like a building. From there, you like open up into like a city with streets. Another area is you're kind of in the subterranean city with like with water and fog. You get city covered in ice, city covered in fire, city covered in sand. You have the fucking Cathedral of Sacred Blood. Fuck this place.
Yeah, we've talked about that one before.
And like the final couple areas are like what they like to call the provisional government building, which is kind of like your war torn zone, like military complex area. And the inside of the government building is just scary. It's just scary. I don't really want to go on. So I think there was actually a fair amount of effort put into the designs to make them each distinct, but keep the same themes on point. The enemies within these different biomes usually are colored to suit the biome they're in. Like, in like the ice biome, there's a bunch of, Yeti-looking fuckers. The more standard-ass enemies are covered in cold weather gear. Fire, guess what? There's guys with like burning antlers. Everything's fucking red. In the desert area, there's sand-colored looking bugs. There's yellow-colored slimes that hide in the sand. There's not like particularly a lot of different, like I would say like unique. I would say that like the standard humanoid enemies, they're basically used in every biome with only slight color variations. The more unique looking enemies only get maybe like one or two color palette swaps before putting, but as I said, like, and there's like a few like mid boss level enemies that I think only get one or two color swaps, and they all feature like the same moves. I would say like each biome maybe has like maybe one unique enemy to it, that you're not going to find anywhere else, but otherwise else it's just recycled, which I don't think necessarily is to its detriment, because no matter what, even the most basic enemy can fucking wreck your shit up if you're not careful.
Yeah, sure.
This is only exasperated when you have to fight multiples at once, whether by game design or you accidentally going too far. Because this is something that the game does do, is like as you progress, there'll be enemies hidden behind corners, enemies hiding on windows. I mean, not windows, walls, ceilings.
Yeah, all the same Dark Souls shit. Like, it's a corner. There's a guy behind that box.
Ta-da!
Fucking
if you're a little bit more careful, you can avoid those things. But if you get even just a little bit over ego, you'll find yourself surrounded by basic ass guys who are just about to wreck your shit, which I think is fair because I've seen some Soulsborne where enemies literally just come flying out of nowhere to knock you off ledges. I'm just like, why would you do this? That is something that I will definitely say is not present in Code Vein. You can fall off edges, but and you can be knocked off edges, but it's not something that's so quite as easy. Like if you dodge back, usually you'll dodge back just as far as the edge and stop.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a great quality of life feature. Because that is something you will dodge if you're using your dodge. You will dodge often and you will dodge frequently, and sometimes you don't really have much choice in which way you have to dodge. For Soulsborne players, it's like you're supposed to keep track of where you are at all times. Scrub, get good. But
right,
me, I'm just like
there are some cases where even you can do like exploitations, or like you can, or you watch out and the enemy does like different things in different areas.
Mm-hmm. But as I said, there are definitely opportunities for you to knock enemies off ledges and for you to get knocked off ledges as well. It's just not something that is going to happen. What's the word I want to say? At the drop of a hat. There has to be a little bit of setup. You have to back yourself into a corner, or you have to back an enemy up into a corner. Or you can just hit an enemy when they're trying to climb the fuck up and they'll just get knocked back down and you're like, scrub. It's a good time. Let's see. So enemy design, visual design. As I said, the character creator is fairly robust.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to give my character more of a cursed look, like she has like the frenzied cracks on her face. Her eyes her eyes and hair are hearkening to another character in the game, but her irises are completely cracked. So it looks like half her face is broken. I'm like, I dig this aesthetic. All your partners are very visually distinct. With Lewis, who looks like the fucking action scientist, Yakumo, who is the big brother type,
with his secret attack, a gun.
Oh, you saw that?
Yes, I saw that tweet.
If I'm gonna like distract it kills me every single fucking time because here he is, this immortal not vampire, wielding a sword bigger than he is, and he just pulls out a fucking normal ass gun. I'm just like, okay. It's great.
Bang, bang, bitch.
I think it's honestly, I think it's to illustrate how fucking serious he is, because the way that the Revenant works in Code Vein is basically as long as you're not stabbed through the fucking heart, the boar parasite will basically turn you to fucking mist and reform you somewhere else. If someone shoots you in the gut with the gun, shoots you in the heart with a gun, you're just fucking ash. So I kind of feel like that's the thing. Is like if Yakima pulls out his gun, that means he's about to shoot you in the fucking heart, and you ain't coming back. Because your blood gun like only shoots like blood bullets. I'm not entirely sure like how like precise or whatever that is.
Yeah,
but it's more akin to magic than it is, physics and ballistics.
Mm-hmm.
But as a Yakumo, he likes to cook and he likes to drink. So he's the kind of big brother type. We're all fucking friends. We all need to get along. Mia, the elder, for as small she is, she's also the big sister type. As small as she is, she has a big hat to compensate. Wears a sweet coat, as we all.
Huge hat.
Huge hat.
Actually, that was the thing that was going on in the Discord. We were talking about the relative heights of the character, because that's the thing you can't adjust at all. And I was just like, no, Lucky is just that. You're just that tall, and while I think your shoes have a little bit of platform to them, you're still like super tall.
Oh yeah.
Well, compared to some characters, it's weird.
Oh, yeah.
Like you were still like a head taller than Mia, even in her giant Russian hat.
Yeah. EO, who you get to as a playable partner at some point, is just white and innocent with a huge rack. Jesus fucking Christ, girl. I'm not gonna lie, as much as I don't mind her current outfit, I do hope they come up with some constant DLC later. Because I'm like, like that hat can't be that can't be comfortable. Let's put on some pants or something.
Yeah, like I said, I asked this as she sleeps in her nothing, basically ditching her cloak on top of the covers. I'm like, isn't she cold?
Yeah.
Though, as we joked, it's clearly a warm climate.
Oh yeah. The I guess it's kind of spoilers, but there's also 2 more partners you get later called Jack and Ava. They are the Punish duo who have a heavy burden that, only they can carry out. And both their designs kind of harken to that. Now, if we're talking about partners, though, there's one thing that kind of slightly bugs me, is that with all the partners, you don't get, because there's 5 weapon types. There's one-handed swords, two-handed swords, polearms, hammers, and bayonets. Now, Jack and Lewis use one-handed weapons. Yakumo uses a two-handed sword. Io uses a polearm, and Mia and Eva use bayonets. If you've been keeping track, that means there is the distinct lack of hammer using partners in your setup, which I think is a little weird. Usually, you would have
like an obvious DLC patch.
Yeah. Well, my immediate thought goes to Davis, who is a NPC in your home base, who's a member of Cerberus, and I think actually his code gives you like the hammer mastery skill. So he's probably a hammer user, and probably in maybe future DLC, whenever that comes for, might become playable.
It also could be that, I mean, I don't know. I only saw you take on a few bosses, and like I only played the one boss in the trail version. That also might be more a little bit of an enemy thing. It does seem like there are a lot of big axe or hammer wielding boys and girls out there.
Yeah, I think I've gotten like 3 maybe big boss. Because I got the Obliterator Axe, the Tyrant Labrys, the Juggernaut Hammer.
Great names, by the way.
Well, yeah, and as I said, like all these weapons are very visually distinct. Like actually, all weapons are visually distinct, which I think is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Words.
Words.
Like as I said, like I mained the bayonet, aka the magic wand. So
yeah, that was the other thing that we joked about, was that this was off mic, but we realized that like a lot of the community members got together and realized that, oh hey, the bayonet is procced to and works with these stats that control your ability to do magic and stuff. So even though it's called a bayonet and you do use it as a spear type weapon mostly, which is how you actually use a bayonet on a gun, it's like a magic wand or staff.
Oh yeah, like I think the actual physical damage off it is based off dexterity. I don't know. I haven't broken this game down to its base things, but usually it looks like bayonets give you like dexterity, mind, and willpower. So I was like, yeah, seems close enough to me. But yeah, no. As I said, this is one of those things that I discovered through. I think it's like I magic real good using a bayonet, and I started magicking a lot more after I discovered that. I think that's what I said last week. Is what I discovered about the bayonet was a fucking magic wand. But speaking of gifts, there's something that I will say that kind of irks me a little bit about the gift system. It's not necessarily how much there is, but the way that you, when you basically get a blood code and you unlock gifts, you have to equip the gifts, and then you just have to defeat enemies. Like, because this is the weird thing that I found in all the gifts. They say the unlocking thing or whatever, it's always just defeat the enemy. That's it. There's no other one. I keep checking to see if maybe it's something different. And no, it's just that one thing. And I kind of feel that might be a little bit of a waste, because Lucky does enjoy fiddly bits in his game. Because this basically means that you're not encouraged to experiment with your gifts.
Yeah, if it's just, it's not even necessarily kill enemies with the gift. It's just kill enemies. And like, that could like, on the one hand, we talk about this a lot with Fire Emblem, for instance. It's good to have an accessible system where anybody can just go, oh well, I guess we just just kill enemies. I can level up my gifts. I don't even have to think about them.
Yeah, you don't have to use them. You don't have to, as long as you can kill enemies, you'll get that gift. But like I discovered in the Continual Sacred Blood, actually using like my gifts on enemies is actually a much more effective thing, and that was actually kind of a random discovery that I did. Yeah,
like, and that's your point about experimentation, where if the game was like you had to master a gift or whatever, you had to say kill less enemies, but kill enemies still with the gifts,
Yeah.
you could,
Like, if you,
actually learn some shit.
Like, if you actually had to do parries or backstabs, launch attacks, you might be more inclined to start using those special drain attacks more often. If you had to, like, maybe, like, do so much damage with gifts or use gifts and that, like, fire enough. You didn't have to make it, like, necessarily too difficult, but if you actually had to, like branch out from the usual tactic of run up and fucking touch somebody with a fucking point of whatever weapon you're using, might have opened up more, like, a bit more flexible thinking in how you approach situations.
And it would teach you more than the game just not teaching you anything, which is a very Dark Souls thing, is just not teach you anything. And, like, honestly, the fact that you can master gifts and move them around is, like, a really good quality of the game. Like, you're not necessarily locked into anything. Yeah, I was actually thinking
about this. Like, Soulsborne games doesn't really give you much of the way of, I want to say, character customization. You get weapons and...
Well, yeah, the customization in the classical Soulsborne is in leveling, because you have to level certain stats, and because it's too expensive to level all of them, you have to, like, figure out what stats matter to you and keep going, basically.
Yeah, but in the end, that's just numbers. You don't really get necessarily...
And that's also not customization, because you literally don't have enough resources to do everything, so you basically have to pick what sort of build you're doing. And I think you can cycle through a couple of different stats. You don't have to be, like, perfectly optimized, but still, it encourages you to figure out what you want to do and just do that.
Yeah, which is literally the exact opposite with Code Vein, as since you don't actually... all leveling does is increases your health, stamina, your attack, and your gift efficiency. It does nothing for your stats. All your stats are dealt with your blood code, your blood veil, and the weapons you use.
Yeah.
So if you just have them, you can swap them around, try different things, experiment, all that crazy stuff, and find out what works with you, which I think is a very forgiving system. Again, kind of moving away from the Soulsborne formula, which I think a lot of people need to understand. While that this is kind of has the Soulsborne formula, it is not actually a Soulsborne game. It is something that has taken the base concept of it and done their own unique spin on it.
Right, and I think we did have this discussion on mic last time we talked about it. Like, while there is definitely a quote-unquote Soulsborne genre, that's also a very specific subset, and we might have actually talked about this while you were streaming Subnautica.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think we talked about this. But it's like Soulsborne games were a genre before they became called Soulsborne, right? Like, while From did invent a very specific way they handled games of this type, there were still, they are still an ideal of a kind of hack and slash dungeon crawler.
Mm-hmm.
And while Code Vein plays to those archetypes, like it is, I'm pretty sure, not more like God Eater. Because that's much more like a Monster Hunter type thing. But it plays to the rules of that genre, but it is not necessarily perfectly exact to it,
Yeah. Well, speaking of God Eater, so I'm about to drop a a conjecture that is probably also a spoiler. So I need everyone who doesn't want to hear any fucking Code Vein spoilers to skip ahead maybe 1 or 2 minutes right about now. So in playing the Code Vein story, you realize that actually the horrors have actually been locked outside of the city. That's what the big barrier of red mist is actually preventing. At one point in the game, the red mist temporarily comes down and you actually get to see one of the horrors. And they, do an attack. The fucking horrors are the same enemies from the actual God Eater series, the Aragami, which completely blew my mind, because here I was thinking that Code Vein was, a completely new setting, and they just dropped the bomb. I was like, no, this is still actually might be still in fucking in universe. Because, as I said, you're fighting the same enemy, and apparently the rest of the world has been wrecked just the same way. The only difference is that you were able to, this city was able to stave it off by literally turning people into vampires and putting up a blood barrier. So again, I need to Togo get Bandai Namco on the phone. It's like, yo, what the fuck is this actually? God Eater colon Code Vein. What's going on here? There's a lot of conjecture going around about it, but I enjoy the twist, and it makes me interested in what maybe the future will hold for the game. I am already ready for Code Vein 2.
Yeah, I do know that the DLC was delayed, but it is still planned. They have DLC plans to bring in more stuff. I understand that the game is you spent 40 hours on it, but I've heard some people get it done who are maybe a little more used to this format get it done a little bit quicker. But it also, because it has multiple endings and so on, it has a naturally iterative, much like the rest of the game. Completing the game just is a new iteration.
Oh yeah, once you beat the game, you can go into new game. You can go into New Game Plus mode, and you have the option of keeping your same difficulty or going into an enhanced difficulty. I went with restarting with a standard difficulty because I actually wanted to go back and collect more codes and stuff before I actually went to the harder. But I've run into a problem. I can't actually level any of the gifts I haven't leveled already, so I'm kind of wondering maybe if I got locked out because I didn't go to a different difficulty. I have to look into that. But from what I've heard, you can play the game 4 times, and it goes into super hard mode. I was just like, ooh, that's rough. I don't know if I actually go that far. I might do hard, but he doesn't necessarily punishing himself unnecessarily. I really don't. Actually, to tangent away for a little bit, this is actually the reason why I realized I don't want to do the more difficult modes of Fire Emblem. It's not necessarily because the game gets harder. It's because the level up system is almost completely RNG based, and that makes me worried. I've had just playing on standard, I've definitely had moments where a character will only get 1 or 2 stat increases and things that they don't actually need 2 or 3 times in a row. I'm just all I'm a little bit concerned about how this character is going to turn out in the end, but I'm not actually that concerned because I'm a normal. I can go steamroll everything. If I was to play,
and also, well, Fire Emblem does kind of have compensate for that because you could just, at least on casual, when you have unlimited free maps in skirmish, you can farm money forever, which means when you get Anna's shop, the secret shop, you can just, or is it the Dark Merchant? It's one of the 2 late game merchants. I think it's Anna's shop. You can just buy stat upgrade items.
I thought you could only buy those once.
I think they're limited to 1 per month. Because she sells master seals, and you can, every month or so, you can farm those from her. But, you can compensate. You can also grow stat increasing items if you know what you're doing, with a high enough professor level. So,
I know, but
when you have unlimited funds, it's a lot easier to offset. But if you play not on casual, you don't get unlimited free skirmishes, so it's harder to farm cash, which can very quickly be burned through in normal operation, just repairing all your shit.
So I'm just So I don't need that stress in my life. I've heard a couple people talking about how certain characters were ruined because they weren't getting the stat advances, and just had to eternally bench them. Just oh. Yeah, I know.
Well, on the one hand, I can understand why the game can give you so many characters, because I've talked about how micromanaging everybody gets a little annoying. On the other hand, I'd really hate to be just playing in my normal-ass default mode and be like, oh, well, I can't use this character who is otherwise a crutch to everything because they keep fucking up. God forbid if that happens to yourself or to your lord, who are virtually required in all maps.
So I said, same thing in Code Vein. I'm just in this game where I'm not entirely sure of what I'm doing. I'm not. I have an idea, I'm gonna work it, and I'm just gonna keep beating my head against the wall until either I break through or I have a breakthrough of another variety. That's I don't follow guides, build videos, any of that. I go into this game relying only on my experience and my experience only.
Well, and you're not afraid to look up hey, what's the stat correspondence to this thing or that thing, but that's just remembering the basic mechanics.
Well, yeah. It's as I said, like basic gameplay knowledge is something that you should make sure that you're abreast on. Like, it's like, what does strength affect again? Let me check that. Dex, mind, willpower, fortitude, vitality. Like, how does scaling work again?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff like that. But yes. So
honestly, I have that problem with Fire Emblem sometime where I'm like, what does Dex do again? Is that my double hitting, or is that a different thing?
Double hitting speed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I like some of them are obvious, like movement. I wonder what this controls. Why is movement +1 really good?
But let me think. Okay. So last bit I guess I want to say is story. The story is okay. It's it's a bunch of anime cliches. But I think the thing I like most about it is the story doesn't drag on certain points like forever in eternity. Like I said, your character starts off with amnesia. That gets resolved. That get resolves in the cathedral. Same with like Lewis looking for the fucking source of Bloodbeam. That also gets resolved like at the cathedral. You get like where you're looking for the source, you get like the hook to another plot point. It's like, who are these two fuckers who are like killing people? What's their deal? That gets resolved like I want to say that gets resolved like in the map after the cathedral. It's like, all these plot points, they actually get resolved in a timely manner. You're not like, it's not dragging on for a day in eternity. It's all like, oh, what's the deal? What's the secret? Things naturally escalate. The stakes become real. The end result is, you don't like the end result. Well, I guess it depends on the ending you get. As I said, I got the true ending my first go. So, things are as good as it's going to get. But like, you don't solve everyone's fucking problems. There's still problems going out there, but you're now in a place where you can more efficiently tackle them. And so it's like, the story is nothing special. It gets a little emotional. And that's, no, honestly, that's like, it's just a good, solid story. It's like, it gets a little anime at the end, but it's a fucking anime-ass fucking game.
I mean, yeah, it's super anime anyway, so.
Yeah, it's good. So overall, like, I want to say that Code Vein is good. It's good, plain fun. As I said, it's definitely the entry that people want to get familiar, maybe with like kind of Soulsborne kind of games they might want to try out. But veteran players of that genre might be a little put off about it. I don't know. Can't remember what the score I gave last weekend when I was only midway through. I think it was probably like 7.5, 8 out of 10, or something like that. I want to maintain that. It's not a masterpiece. It definitely has its little flaws here and there, some personal, some mechanical. But as long as you go in like trying not to compare this game directly to Dark Souls 3,
right?
I think you have a good time.
That's the thing that when we talk about like genres, homages, etc. Like, so long as you don't, I know some people, for instance, have this complaint about we've heard people in our community, for instance, talk this way about the actual God Eater games, where it's like, as long as you don't expect them to be the 1-to-1 equivalent of Monster Hunter, they're similar, but they're not the same. It's the same for Code Vein. Like, if you go in this knowing that it will not be a 1-for-1 to like Dark Souls or Bloodborne probably being a little bit more of a apt comparison because vampires and stuff. And blood. So much blood. But that opens you up. If you're just like, man, I'm jonesing for another literal Dark Souls, well, you're gonna be disappointed because nothing besides literal Dark Souls will be literal Dark Souls. Like, not even Demon Souls is literal Dark Souls. Not even Bloodborne is literally Dark Souls. They're still slightly different takes on the engine.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a whole thing, Bob.
It's a whole thing. But yeah, so it's sorry, I'm Twitter video. Yeah, I hardly recommend it. I'm probably not gonna be pumping away at it.
Yeah, I don't know when I will get around to picking it up, but I definitely will pick it up myself, having played the trial and kind of heard lots of opinions. It sounds fun, and especially with the partner type thing, it seems like the kind of thing where if you're willing to put in a little bit of that elbow grease, you can do it. Like, I saw you play for a little bit, and I'm like, I could. I listen to stuff a lot when I do this, or I can watch stuff. Like, I'd throw something on and I'd just like zone out and like, farm for some materials or slap some level ups, a little bit to or just run a couple iterations on a boss until I figure the pattern out kind of thing. Like, I feel like I could do that. But we are entering a busy time of games, so I don't know when I'll be free to do that, because later this month we have The Outer Worlds and Modern Warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like I said, I want to also pick up some Switch DLC and stuff. Astral Chain is in a similar place where, like, you gave it a very good review, and I was obviously interested in it because, platinum and stuff, but I'm like, I don't know when I got the time for that just yet.
Honestly, if I was to make a fucking review series, it'd probably be like Casual Gamer gives reviews about whatever game.
We could launch that series. People love the Lucky content, but also, like, building a static system of us doing content all the time is hard. There's a reason why I stopped trying to have an upload literally every day, which I tried for a while, but just, like, sometimes that's too much work.
Yeah.
And we do, like I said, I do want to expand to more stuff because it's a spooky month, and I want to actually explore Soma because I've seen a little bit of the game and I like the setup of it, so I want to try it, and I can try it safely for Lucky to see if he wants to try it, because he doesn't know if he wants to play this Amnesia ass game.
I don't know if you do the sharecast. You actually might be able to record and actually have me have commentary on the side.
Well, maybe I don't know. We might figure some stuff out. I was just thinking of doing, because I don't necessarily trust my machine or my internet to do anything fancy. I was just gonna do.
Oh yeah, that's right. Fuck.
In-app streaming. And just see how that goes, because I've done that before with stuff.
Mm.
I have an entire playthrough shoot, I'm completely blanking on the name. Life is Strange. Like that, I streamed all of that. Some of them had problems because I didn't double check my audio, but I did the whole thing. Sometimes with people watching, I don't know. Hopefully we'd have a slightly bigger audience than fucking nobody now. Usually a few people tune in when Lucky streams.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it's busy because there's gonna be stuff coming up, and then in November there's obviously we want to be right away with Death Stranding. I don't know if we're gonna take the time down to like stream that or anything, or record it, but we definitely want to be right there and ready to talk about it when it comes out. I mean, honestly, I don't. Other than obviously for the story and stuff, people are gonna want to be like right there right away for those reactions. I don't think we even know if the game is like good to stream. I suppose if you have enough practice, you can make anything good to stream. But if you spend a large amount of time wandering the wilderness, that obviously puts more pressure on the streaming end to like talk about stuff and be entertaining.
So we might give it a whirl.
Well, we'll have to see what the game actually looks like. Yeah. Finally, like how it's paced, because I think we've seen a pretty decent look at all the like systems and stuff. It's just you don't really know how it all clicks together, right? Like obviously there's a big story element, but there's also it seems like there's a big loneliness wandering the world element. So it's like, how do those hook up? Like, what's our ratio of running through the Afghanistan desert to fighting a man who's literally on fire? To use the Metal Gear Solid 5 comparison. We'll see. But yeah, it's going to be a busy, and then just is Sword and Shield December? I think it's early December. So Pokemon's coming out. That's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Then I think there's a first couple of months in the new year are okay. Until then it's like Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy, Last of Us 2, boom. You get that first block of spring releases.
I think there's a couple in January, but I think that's more for me than for you.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, like Kingdom Hearts 3 came out in January, but that was like for me that was like the lone game in that block.
Yeah.
I feel like winter releases in the new year are usually a little bit more stretched out. Like there's one or two, but it's not really packed.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to get like early fall to pre-Christmas season, so you can get like holiday sales and stuff. Black Friday, Christmas, other big stuff. Then it's like, okay, it's a new year. Usually companies have to like reset and figure their shit out after a holiday break and all that. So there's all that. Then it's like, okay, we've had a couple months off. It's spring. Let's throw some game releases out there. Because then there's E3 and all that. Well, anyway. So that was Lucky's double extra Code Vein review. We're at about a couple hours. I figure I said this would be a little bit shorter. We could probably wind down about now.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right, because I don't really... other than reporting to the internet that in the Girls Frontline key code event, I haven't rolled a single number in the left side, that single left row or column, I should say.
Oh.
Like literally the leftmost column. The only one that's there is I've manually rolled it, which is creeping me out a little bit. It's like when you take a standardized test and you get like 3 C's in a row and you're like, this next answer can't be C. Fuck, it's C. Where did I go wrong? Nowhere. I'm pretty sure that the standardized test people do that just to fuck with you. But still.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't touched Girls Frontline. I'm just probably gonna finish skipping into it, because...
It's just a costume. I don't even think I have the girl for it. It's just... It gives me an excuse to play the game, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, actually log in and do things. Because otherwise it would be... Do a couple interludes a day, focus on trying to do this raid run, mostly because I'm just trying to kill enough enemies that I can get Jamaica's skin.
Mm.
Like, I gotta be honest, I don't even know what's up with the raid thing. I feel no particular attachment to it. Because I believe this is to promo the game that is called Crosswave, but we don't get that until next year. So, It's kind of And we got Shimosa coming up. That's gonna suck up a lot of my time when that comes out, because I know that some members of our fan base are gonna just play the shit out of it and want to talk about it right away. And I'm gonna be like, no, shut up. I'm not done yet. Shush. Which is something we occasionally have to do with the audience and be like, okay, calm down. You know, some of us, maybe we've been sick or something, or been busy. Like, we ended up not doing it anyway because, obviously, it was a bit late, but I probably would have been too tired. But you were out yesterday among the hawks and the mountains again. So it's like, hey, you probably couldn't have done a lot of playing a Shimosa out there if it had been out.
Yeah.
So, sometimes life happens. That's one of our big mottos. Life happens.
Yep. We cash here.
Though usually we say that about tabletop games, so I can throw out that, I am still churning away at that Submage's outline. I think I've got I've locked in my story structure, so now it's just writing out the scenes and any encounters and stuff that need rules that I can, like, collect from people. I also did some of the back-end customization stuff I wanted. Like, I talked about I wanted to do some different rune stuff, and I did it. I wrote rules for Grimoires. I had an internal debate about where that should go, but I decided to put that in the player-facing guide, because players can make them pretty simply. So that was the thing that was like, okay, there's... Because, you know, it is a little bit of a question, like, how do people learn magic? How do you cover magic topics? And to be like, because, you know, grimoires, spellbooks are part of the genre, so it was like, okay, let's actually establish this and establish mechanics. So, yes, some mages write bloody great textbooks about instructions of stuff. And actually, I don't think I talked about anybody about this yet, but I did write in the Mage's Field Guide, which is usually where I collect miscellaneous fluff. I wrote a new section about grimoires, which kind of explains how that works. Because, on the one hand, the way magic and mages are portrayed there's a lot of supposed to be, like, fraternity, a lot of unification, even when necessarily your national political interest would not be towards unification. Mages are still like, you know, we should try and maintain a professional relationship, even if we're fighting because demons and stuff. As Lucky knows firsthand. So I phrase it as kind of like, it's kind of like doing scientific research, right? Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to publish that paper. Your theory is going to go out there, and it's going to be a whole thing. But until it's done, it's incomplete, and you don't want anybody stealing it or sabotaging it or, like, taking credit for it. So, you know, some mage groups will, like, work on these grimoires for a long period of time, and while they're doing that, they're kind of in code, and then they come out and they might get wire spread. And, like, even some families can have, like, family secrets, but a lot of it's just how the family learns how to do stuff. So some of that might not be helpful to somebody, but it also might be, so you never know. Maybe you're just telling kids to practice basic data safety, you know? The equivalent of, like, teaching your kid to always leave your firewall on and run virus scans every day, or whatever. But also, I spent too much time in a fever dream figuring out cool fluff names for various famous grimoires, because that is a thing that you could theoretically roll procurement and be like, can I get a book about this? So, thinking ahead, I was like, let's make up some book names. So that's in the Mage's Field Guide, and you can find some lists of some famous books on specific subjects and stuff, some general topics, and also some evil books, just in case.
Just in case.
You know, because that was a big thing. Also, was like the spooky black magic stuff.
Oh no!
But yeah, so that was something I did. But yeah, I'm starting to get a little tired from talking, so if we have talked all our subjects out, I'll just do the outro.
Yep.
I'll take a big sip of water first.
Take us out, Omega.
Okay. Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like if you liked it. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. Or join our Discord. That link is, as always, in the description. If you are new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so you always know when we post a new video. And it's right there in your sub box. And don't forget that bell for notifications too, because that'll let you know right away when we post something. You know, in case we had to delay a day because I was sick, and then God knows when this will get finished, and then other stuff. It's helpful. Lets you know right away. Access right away to videos, premieres, whatever. But of course, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early, in audio format for as little as $1 a month. That's as soon as I finish editing the audio, it goes up to patrons. So that's always fun. And like I said, it really helps us out. You can also consider buying our merch. That's link is in the description. We've got a new shirt, the Tyranny tee, and also we have a variety of other stuff in a variety of styles. The listing is called the Tyranny tee, but I don't know. I don't remember. Did I put just diecast stickers or hoodies in there? I could add a hoodie if I wanted to. But we do also do stuff besides shirts. Like some of our designs have like stickers, bags, phone cases. I recently realized that apparently Teespring now does not just iPhone cases, but also does Samsung style phone cases. So I might have to make up some of those entries. You know, give the people more variety. But that's the thing. So I think that's everything. So we will see you next week for more What's Up. Feel also free to check out Let's Talk FGO. We published this week's already, and we'll have another one, next week. And stay tuned for any other videos and or streams we may do in between. All right. Bye, everybody.
Filth Cash out.